Hello and welcome back to another episode of Indexer Office Hours. Today is the 20th of December and this is Indexer Office Hours 88, the final Indexer Office Hours for 2022. What a crazy journey it's been. Thank you all for attending and I'm excited for today's episode. So if anyone is new to Indexer Office Hours, this is the town square where graph ecosystem participants come together and discuss the most important and relevant topics for indexers. This is a conversation, and to that token, we love participation. And so at a section of this episode, we'll allow many of you folks to kind of chip into the conversation, either by voice or text. Just as a reminder, this is being recorded and will be posted onto public channels like YouTube. So if you're concerned about privacy, please bear that in mind. And with that, let's get into today's agenda. So kicking off today with opening remarks, we have a very special 𝗨𝗀𝗳𝗂𝗹 episode. And that special episode was with Alex, who is also known as 𝗨𝗂𝗲 in the community. Alex is part of Indexer 𝗨. He's a graph advocate and also a graph advocate, or also part of the Graph Advocates 𝗨. In addition to many of his Web3 and graph contributions, Alex is also a product engineer at 𝗨𝗀𝗳𝗂𝗧𝗨. I'm not sure how to pronounce it correctly. But yeah, I mean, he's in the call right now, and he's also someone we know in the community. I just want to say before I hand it to Alex to maybe say a few words on this, I'm always impressed by people like 𝗨𝗂𝗲 who have a full-time job but contribute so much to the ecosystem. It is honestly incredible how much 𝗨𝗂𝗲 is involved in the community with Indexer 𝗨 and the graph advocates. So yeah, it's a pleasure to have you as part of the call and also part of the community, 𝗨𝗂𝗲. I'll hand it to you if you want to say anything about the episode and maybe some highlights or anything that people should kind of listen into when they tune into this particular episode.
Thanks, Abel. And thanks, 𝗨𝗀𝗳𝗂𝗹/NEC. It was an honor to be on there. It was a lot of fun to chat. But yeah, it was kind of just a bit about my background, what I've been up to lately with Web 2 and Web 3, and kind of just some philosophical ranting about stuff. So I think it was fun. Hopefully you all enjoy it, and I'd love to have more conversations and philosophical discussions about what we're all doing here together, because I think that's part of the fun too, besides building. But thanks, and hope you all have a lovely end of your year as well.
Wonderful. Thank you so much there, 𝗨𝗂𝗲. And yeah, Nick has so kindly posted the link to the actual podcast episode, so please do check that out if you so desire. Thanks, everyone. And now I will hand it over to Anna, who's going to take us into today's Repo Watch.
Hello, everyone. Can you read me? Can you hear me all right?
We can read you and hear you all right.
Awesome. All right. So as always, you'll find all of the details about all of the clients we're talking about in the agenda and the Repo Watch. And with that, I'm going to start the last Repo Watch of the year with the execution layer clients. So here we've had a new release of 𝗨𝗨𝗀𝗀𝗀𝗀, version 2.32. And this is quite a small release. It adds flags for P2P allowed ports to restrict port ranges for multiple sentries, such as 𝗨𝗏66 and 𝗨𝗏67. It fixed a regression in its estimate gas from previous release, and it contains some modifications to P2P sentry that are mostly related to the BSC network, so not necessarily applicable to us. That's all we have on the execution layer client. All of the other clients haven't had a release this week. Has anyone tried this version of 𝗨𝗨𝗀𝗀𝗀𝗀 before I move on to the consensus layer clients? Matthew is saying yes. And is it working all right? So Matthew has that 𝗨𝗨𝗀𝗀𝗀𝗀 on Girly. So 𝗨𝗨𝗀𝗀 2.32 on Girly seems to be working. Um, okay, moving on to consensus layer clients, we've had a new release on Prism, so version 3.2.0. This contains a lot of changes, some of the ones that might be important. So the flag chain config file now throws an error if used concurrently with the network flag. Fix an issue when using Prism on Gnosis chain. Updated fork choice endpoint, 𝗨𝗀𝗲 debug fork choice. So that was updated from 𝗨𝗀𝗲 debug beacon fork choice. Included run DAO JSON endpoint, added liveness endpoint, and some fixes to Prism script, the prism.sh, which works with Mac M1 chips now. And that's about it. No other releases on the consensus layer clients. On the graph stack, we have had a new release of indexer service and agent. This release has a lot of updates, such as making deployment names consistent, adding action delete command to the action queue, reorganizing error logging, avoiding recreation of recently failed actions, fixing indexer CLI Docker image, adding a new flag to indexer common and indexer CLI first. Add to indexer common and indexer CLI, add cost models delete, add action delete options for indexer CLI, and upgrade contract dependencies. These are just some of the changes. Now version 0.28 of Graph is the official Graph node version, but the Graph node 0.29 has been tested on testnet as well. Has anyone tried this version, or does anyone want to add any more details about this version? I can see Satman asking if we can update Eragon. The new version has been tested on Girly, so you should be able to. All right. And Cyphera is telling us that they're running latest Eragon on both mainnet and Polygon. I need to make an update to Helm charts on Launchpad to be able to test Eragon. I'm hoping to do that today, and I will post in the channel as well. All right, so with that, I don't have anything else to add. So I will hand it back to you, Juan.
Awesome. Thanks, Anna. Can you all hear me?
We can indeed.
Great. For Protocol Watch, we have quite a lot to cover. Getting into forum governance, the first thing is there are new council members, Alexander Bourget from Streaming Fast and Mabel Jiang from Steppen. They are replacing Yaniv and I don't remember the other one. Let me double check. Michael Anderson from Framework Ventures. So yeah, there's new members for the council, which is always important to basically move those roles a little bit. Next up, we have an update for requests for information about disputes GDR15. This is the heated debate regarding the decision basis indexer. Again, if you're interested in the discussion, there's a lot going on there. But yeah, there are a few new comments there. Then we have a PR for the GIP41, which is the GIP to start dispute status and resolution. This was proposed by 𝗨𝘀𝗲𝗂𝗟𝗶𝗀, and they actually created a potential PR for it. So hopefully we get that merged relatively soon so they can use it. Then we have an update for 3 GIPs, which are all kind of like linked together. These are the GIP39, which is curation B1.x, which is basically the flattening of the bonding curve in L2. GIP31 Arbitrum GRT bridge, which again is the GRT bridge for the L2. And GIP40, which is the L2 bridge and protocol deployment GIP. All three of those have been deployed. There's of course one caveat, which is that the L2 deployment on mainnet will not have indexing rewards for a while until everything has been proven to be working correctly and we can start like migrating indexing rewards over there. Then going into forum research, we have a post regarding potential Sepolia network support. This has been a request from one of the developers since, well, 𝗟𝗟 has been the #1 testnet after the merge, and it obviously has become a little bit congested, so having Sepolia support would be super cool. Then we have a few core dev team updates. I'm not gonna go deep into each of the updates, but we have 4 updates from 𝗨𝘀𝗲𝗂𝗧𝗏 GraphOps. Bunch of OpenZeppelin audit PRs. Most of them are basically covering everything that has been described in the latest OpenZeppelin audit that has been happening a few weeks ago, I think. But yeah, I think most are just basically. Oh, did you lose me?
Yeah,
Oh.
yeah, just a section there, but I'm not sure if that was just me. Oh, other people also, experienced that as well. It was just like 5 seconds, 10 seconds. We just
Whoops. Well, I'll go back. I would assume it was during forum research.
Correct. Yeah, that's.
Yeah, there's not that much to cover in forum research. There's a request for Sepolia network support because basically 𝗟𝗟 is congested, and there have been a few core dev team updates for December. Among those, Messari, GraphOps, Semiotic Labs, and Streaming Fast. I'm not going to go deep into each of those. They are linked in the Notion document. Next up, we have the contracts repository. We have a ton of PRs open for the latest OpenZeppelin audit. Again, most of those are L2 related, so not much to cover, and I'm not going to go deep into each of those because there are a bunch of them. Going into the network subgraphs, the bridge-aware subgraph for the core network subgraph is going to be deployed to mainnet soon. It has been already deployed to the staging mainnet, so we only have to sync the main branch. Everything seems to be working correctly, so it's going to happen this week. And there's no new releases for all of the other subgraphs since last IOH. That's pretty much it for Protocol Watch, so I'm going to handle it over to 𝗟𝗏.
Thank you very much. Amazing. Well, this is the final IOH of the year. It's incredible to even say that. It's been an incredible journey thus far. I've enjoyed showing up every single week with all of you to discuss all of the latest and interesting topics and information as it relates to the Indexer community and the Graph ecosystem. We're going to wrap up today's... I see that maybe you might go back to perps. We'll see. I see a lot of action in the comments in relation to perps. So we're gonna wrap up today's sorry, I can't concentrate with all this perp talk. We're gonna wrap up today this year's IOH with another MIPS conversation. So we have Pedro who's in the house, and he's going to do some updates, and then we're going to wrap with our usual Q&A and maybe sharing some interesting moments that we've spent together in this year's IOH towards the end. So yeah, Pedro, all up to you.
Yep, thank you, Abel. Yes, I think it's going to be a quick update. I just posted a couple hours ago in MIPS announcement all of these recent news, and an email will be going out for all participants soon as well. The TLDR is that we're finally entering phase 2. I mean, that's all what you've been preparing for with phase 0, phase 1. Phase 2 is all about going to mainnet. We've been talking about it. It's now live. We have missions on the dedicated Notion page that I can share here as well. And yeah, right now we have only Connect on the network. We are deliberately serving Connect only for the time being, because once again, we are relying on you, MIPS participants, to essentially just test this first one. And we'll take the time to monitor how the network is behaving in the protocol. And so that's basically the goals of mission 1, 2, and 3 that we have for this phase 2. And that should last until, I would say, the tentative deadline right now is the end of the second week of January. Let me double check that. Yes, correct. And that's the time by when we should open it up for other subgraph developers and curators and everyone really to start publishing more Noises subgraphs onto the network. And that will get you, and that will get us to mission 4, meaning you would be participating on the network as a regular indexer, competing for indexing rewards, query fees, and just participating as a regular indexer really, and deciding which subgraphs to allocate for, all of that. But yeah, right now we have Noses phase 2 up and running. The Notion page is ready. And queries will start flowing hopefully in the next couple of days, if not tomorrow, we'll see. But yeah, if you're in a rush or if you feel like you're being left out and potentially scoring lower, there's no need to rush, honestly speaking, because there are currently no query fees going through the network. I'm also updating the phase 2 FAQ on the Notion page based on the questions I've been seeing on the chat. So do take a look at that, please. And yeah, I'll still be around to answer your questions. What else we have? Yeah, let's see. So Polygon, right? I mean, there's no news for Polygon. You're still syncing your archive nodes. The goal is to start having some subgraphs on Gurley by early January too. And we'll do exactly what we just did for Noses, meaning phase 1 for Polygon should start by the first weeks of next month. We'll send some test traffic over, same thing over and over. We'll test QoS, we'll test everything. Once ready, we go to mainnet, yeah, and that will mark the end of that change cycle too. The leaderboard, finally. The leaderboard, we are right now working on phase 1 scoring. We're almost done, but we're also updating some entries for phase 0. But specifically for those that have scored a little bit low, there might be some changes in the upcoming days, and you might, your score you might score higher actually, and so there's no risk for you. There's no risk here, meaning that we won't be lowering your score. If anything, you will just score higher, which is nice, I believe. And we're doing this just to ensure that everything is fair, really, and we follow an honest approach that's more well-balanced for every participant, really. And yeah, the goal is for us to share this new leaderboard with the updated phase 0 score for some participants and phase 1 score for all participants by Thursday this week. And that's all for MIPS. And also be on the lookout. There's going to be another announcement that we'll share in a couple hours, hopefully, about the Gnosis chain rewards that we've alluded to a couple weeks ago. But yeah, more on that later.
Amazing. Thank you so much, Pedro, for all of the updates there. Now I invite everyone to ask away as it relates to all the updates there, or if you have any sort of general questions in relation to the MIPS program. I can see people typing away. Obviously, you're welcome to type in the chat or unmute your mic and speak in the chat.
Yeah, I was curious if anyone is running Gnosis in combination with Nimbus.
Good question. I'm not, so I'm going to let other people answer that if they are. Indeed, Cohen, I guess not. Looks like it's Lighthouse for Big Jim.
Yeah, I have two nodes. I wanted to try one with Lighthouse and one with Nimbus, but it looks like the Nimbus one definitely still has some more polishing to do.
Yeah, sounds like it. Cool. Any other questions, Cohen, or anyone else in relation to MIPS or anything else in general?
I think Chobi, and I'm hoping I'm pronouncing your name right. From 𝗨𝗀𝗀𝗀𝗀 is asking whether he should update. You don't the new address. Okay, I see. So yes, I just added this to the Notion page. Actually, there will be a form by the end of mission 3 where you'll share your Ethereum mainnet address. So that means that, and if you're already an indexer on mainnet, there's no need for you to set up a new address, really. You just need to let us know which one you're using.
There you
I
go.
hope that
Hopefully
answers your question. Yeah. Let me
Yeah.
know if that was clear. Meaning, yeah, I'm not checking the other question. Yeah, it answered my question. Okay, perfect. So yes, you can use the same for both Ethereum mainnet and Gnosis and any other future chain. Really, we'll just ask you for that address and have it on file, and then we'll use that address to score you for phase 2, which has not started yet. To be clear.
𝗨𝗀𝗀𝗀𝗀, hope I'm pronouncing that correctly, has asked any allocation limits for phase 2, or can we YOLO millions on?
Yeah, we won't be. Yeah, we can't really control it. So it's on the open market now. It's on mainnet, so you should participate as any other indexer, really. The scoring will just take into account other metrics like QoS and not just your allocated stake.
Doesn't the allocated stake influence significantly the query rewards that we get, or the queries in first place, and then the query fees also?
Yeah, it does, and which is why we're saying that we will also take into account the QoS metrics we're seeing on the gateway, essentially as we did for phase one. So yeah.
There's another question there for you, Payne. Do we need to create chain 1 RPC to support Gnosis?
I'm not entirely sure what do you mean by create chain 1 RPC. Oh, yes. So by default, the StakeSquid mainnet and testnet repos basically come with just one pre-configured chain. If you want to add, like, say, for example, mainnet, ETH, and Gnosis and Polygon, then you need to add their specific chains in the end file and also in the GraphNode configs. I will update the documentation today, but it's already written in the testnet repo, so give a watch. There should be, I think it's already updated in the testnet repo. But yeah, that's basically it. Does that answer your question, 𝗨𝗲𝗂𝗧? Satman, yes, it's updated. It should be close, or if not identical, to the testnet repo. I'm just waiting for the new agent release. I think I can just go ahead and fill it up with 20.6. Is Ford on the call? Maybe he can give us an update, because I know he had some issues he was trying to fix somewhere in the agent, the latest agent release. I'm not sure if that's included in the v20.6 or not, or whatever the version was.
I'm here. I'm cutting in a new release right now. The reason I'm doing that is because I'm reverting some of the behavior in the agent to still use the params where you supply the index node IDs, then the agent will assign subgraphs to those index nodes. This is related to an issue that you reported on the graph node recently. So yeah, I've reverted that behavior, pushing a release as we speak. So that'll be 20.7.
Awesome, thank you. I guess I have to amend my PR to update the networks MD file, but I'll do it after your release is out.
Sounds good.
Hey, Ford, right now we have on the docs that MIPS participants should be using 0.26. Would that new release, can they just just run the new version? Is it backwards compatible, or will there be anything? Because you mentioned that they need to assign the node IDs to some deployments. Was that it?
Yeah, so on the startup parameters, I'm going to look at what the exact parameter is right now. This was behavior that has been in most versions. I recently took it out and then realized the graph node didn't support the change, so I put it back in. So it shouldn't be a change for everyone. But let's see. And do you remember what the node ID parameter was on startup? I will pull it up. So basically, when you start up your index or agent, there's an index node IDs startup parameter, or if you're using environment variables, index or agent, index node IDs. And you use that to supply the IDs of each index node. And then the index or agent will use that set of IDs to assign deployments when it deploys subgraphs for you. Like I said, this has been a parameter that's used in most versions of the agent, and I recently took it out. So for a lot of indexers, this won't actually represent any changes, but something to be aware of.
So sorry, just to be clear, if running 0.20.6 as is and then going back to or upgrading to the new release, it's not just upgrading or restarting index agent. They will need to pass on this new environment variable, right? Specifying the node IDs, correct?
Yeah, you'll need the node IDs.
Gotcha. Okay.
Yep.
Oh, that was removed from the agent a while ago. I still had it in my my index nodes and also in the _stakes_squid config. Funnily enough.
Yeah, I figured most people would still have it in. I removed it pretty recently with the goal of having the graph node be the point of decision on all deployment assignments. But there was a small edge case on the graph node where it wouldn't reassign some deployments if they had been paused or removed. So that was leading to some kind of sneaky behavior where subgraphs were getting stuck. So I put the index node IDs back in. Yeah, like you said, most people probably didn't even notice that they got taken out. So it shouldn't really represent any changes for most indexers.
Nice, awesome. I was seeing the that David Lotte made a I don't know if it was a pull request or I think it was a pull request trying to get someone from the graph node team to look into the specific issue where the graph node wasn't assigning. So I guess we'll have that eventually coming, but it's good that we can still use the agent as is after your intermediate fix. So yeah, thank you so much for that.
Yeah, no problem. I just posted the issue that David made on
it was an issue. Yeah,
graph
sorry.
node, and basically, in the past, the way that it worked is we would pause subgraphs simply by assigning them to basically a non-existing index node, so they didn't get picked up by any node and weren't syncing. We're realizing that caused some kind of unexpected behavior, and like you saw, sometimes you would try to start up a subgraph and it would basically just stay stuck because it was assigned to a non-existent node. So David was thinking a little bit through around how we can improve the behavior around supporting pause and resume of subgraphs. So you can see his thoughts on the issue there. I think that his plan makes a lot of sense. So I'll announce on the Indexer channel shortly when I have that new release out, the 20.7.
Great, thanks so much, Ford. Any further questions, thoughts anyone wants to share in relation to all the topics that we're discussing? No? This is the final IOH for this year, so if you have any burning questions, this is the place to ask them. So please do if you have any. If not, we can also move forward, and the next part is I just want to ask about general feedback or thoughts on the IOH format that we currently have. Do people find it beneficial? If so, how could it be improved? I always find that it's good to check in with the community to ask as to how we can improve this format. So if you have any thoughts, feedback, either you can chat in the in the chat here via text or via voice, or you can go ahead and DM me if you so desire. And then also another ask for the community before we wrap, in case if no one has any additional questions in relation to MIPS, is I would love to solicit some ideas about what kind of content you guys would like to see in the new year. So in the new year, we're going to spin it back up again, where we're going to have certain workshops as it relates to certain aspects of how to be a better MIPS participant. And we have a few ideas as to what we would like to share with you guys. But of course, we're doing it for all of you. So if you have any requests in terms of specific content that you'd like to see from us, this is a great opportunity to do that before we wrap for 2022. So yeah, those two things there, feedback and also content ideas and requests. I'll leave it there. Okay, quite a quiet crowd today. Not to worry. I can see Packers typing. It's good to see. Yeah, well, if there is anything, of course, my DMs are open. So please message me there, or feel free to write anything in the chat box, and I'll return to it. Okay. We got something here. So I enjoy the panel type discussions that we had. Okay. That's interesting. So as it relates to your comment there, Packer, as it relates to non-technical content, is there any specific non-technical panel discussions that you'd like to listen into, or is that just a general kind of comment on something that you've enjoyed in the past? Okay, sure. Yeah, take the mic. Or type, it's up to you, whatever you prefer.
Hey there. Yeah, kind of, I think it was a couple episodes ago, there was the talk kind of between, I think it was Chris from GraphOps, Jim, and even just like other, I don't want to use the term like OG indexers, but just people who've been in the community and kind of having almost like philosophical discussions about like, should all subgraphs be indexable by all indexers or whatever, like things like that, where it's like, it's technical, but we're also talking about like kind of a little more meta about like what we're doing, why we're here. I don't know, for me that's enjoyable just because it's not just like a purely technical thing, and this whole kind of like decentralization journey and like why we're actually building this tech. So for me, I always like when that can somehow kind of get spun in a little bit, but I know that's not always feasible because this is like a technical kind of town square, but that's kind of what I meant.
Got it. Yeah, no, I completely agree. Big plus one there. I certainly enjoy that kind of content as well. Because yeah, you're bang on the money in that a lot of us are building this technology, not only because it's interesting technology to build, but also because it's going to have an interesting and positive impact in the way that the internet is run and used, right? Like that's, I think, a very important reason why I certainly work in this space, and I'm sure many of you as well. So yeah, definitely agree that type of content is interesting, and for sure, like we can for sure weave it into the schedule. Like there's always space to have those kind of philosophical conversations. I think you're right. You know, this is a technical venue. So of course, most of them will be technical in nature, but of course, there's always opportunities to squeeze a philosophical conversation in, or as you alluded to, a philosophical conversation as it relates to a technical topic, right? There's tons of flexibility we have right there. So yeah, thank you for that suggestion. Really appreciate that, and definitely agree. I can see the chat is lighting up. Let's see, can it start doing holidays? Yes. Oh, that's a good point, Paco. Again, yeah, like those kind of conversations would be beneficial for newer indexers, right? Who are just trying to, get an understanding of the lay of the land. Definitely interesting. To build context. Exactly. Cool. I see that the chat is lighting up, but Pedro's doing a fantastic job of answering all the questions. So, I'll leave that be. Yeah, I mean, if there aren't any sort of any major questions or topics to discuss, we can hand some time back to all of you. Say that this was a fantastic year full of a bunch of really interesting conversations at this venue, this Index Office Hours venue. And I want to thank each and every one of you for showing up here and listening, contributing to the conversation. I've certainly enjoyed these conversations. I find them enthralling and very informative. So I hope that we can continue the momentum. I hope to see all of you succeed in the MIPS program. I hope you guys enjoy the rest of your 2022. I look forward to seeing all of your amazing faces and hearing your amazing voices in the new year. Cool. Thank you, everyone, and we'll see you in the new year.
Thanks all. Thanks, Abel.
Thanks a lot. Cheers, guys.